What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 12. I just want to eat you up. Who you want to eat up, David? Because we know it's not Michelle. So Michelle and David, they're in the car on their way to see Michelle's family. And while they're driving there, David is asking Michelle how is she feeling about things so far between them. Of course, Michelle says that she's struggling because she's always struggling with this relationship with David. So they talk about that. And then she brings up the text message. She says that she got a text message from him and it was really weird because they don't talk like that to each other because they're not on that level where they would be exchanging sexy, flirty text messages to each other. So she's like, I got this message from you. It was really strange. It said, "You are so damn fine. I just want to eat you up." So what was that all about? And David, instead of thinking quick on his feet, and maybe because he didn't think quick on his feet, that should be an attestment to him not used to lying or not used to cheating because he's not used to this at all. I don't know. But he, instead of him thinking quick on his feet, and he gives this very long, convoluted, very stupid explanation saying that the text message was in response to a picture his cousin sent him. He said that his cousin sent him a picture of a plate of food. And so his response was to say, "You are so damn fine. I just want to eat you up," referring to the food. So she thought that she tells him, "I thought it was intended, for me. I thought you were meaning to send it to me." And he said that no, it was to my cousin because she sent me this picture of this plate of food or whatever. He would have sounded more believable if he did go along with what she said and said, "Yes, that was intended for you." If he was able to think quick on his feet, he would have said, "Yes, that was intended for you. I was drunk, or I was feeling flirtatious, or Michelle, I'm really attracted to you, and I was hoping that maybe that could get things started between us. Set off a spark between us." Or whatever. He should have just went along and said, "Yes, that was intended for you. You were looking good the other day. You got things going inside of me. And so spontaneously, without really thinking, I just sent you that really flirty text. And if you're offended, I'm sorry." Instead of just going along with it, going with the flow, he comes up with this really stupid, convoluted story that it was intended for his cousin. So we get to Michelle's family's house. They're all sitting outside, talking and eating. And they're bringing up Michelle is talking about their problems because everybody wants to know, how are y'all doing so far? And Michelle is like, "We're still struggling with A, B, C, and D." So her friend says to David, "Unfortunately, because of the problems that y'all are having, you will never get to see the Michelle that we know. You will never get to see the fun side of Michelle because of all these issues that y'all are having. I have seen a glimpse of fun Michelle during the after party, where I've seen her a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more bubbly, laughing. When she's with her friends on the show, we see how she is, but unfortunately, David will never get to see that side of her. So later on, we see Michelle. She's out to dinner with her friend. And Michelle starts off by saying how David is always checking in on her. So she starts off positive and says that, he's very attentive. He's always checking in on me throughout the day. Then the topic of the text message comes up, and Michelle clearly believes that the message was not intended for her. So she tells her friend that he sent me this message. It said, "You are so damn fine. I want to eat you up." And I know that he did not mean to send that to me because, like I said before, they are not on that level where they would be exchanging those type of messages with one another. So the friend asked her, "Are you going to call him out on it?" And she was like, "Absolutely, I'm going to call him out on it. I'm going to ask to see, what his cousin sent to him. I want to see the picture of the plate of food. I am going to call him out on it for sure." And you can tell that Michelle is like salivating that this is happening because Michelle has been in the hot seat since day one. Since the day of her wedding, she has been in the hot seat. And she's constantly has been I don't want to say attacked, but I know she feels like she's been attacked by the experts, by Keisha Knight Pulliam. She feels like she's constantly having to defend herself. And David just gets a free ride. Everybody loves David. David is so wonderful. David is so great. Why don't you like him? This is the man that you wanted. This is the man that we gave you. What's wrong with you? So she's constantly constantly has to be on defense mode when it comes to David. And so for once, she can kind of sit back and watch him squirm and watch him in the hot seat. So you can tell that she is absolutely loving this. I don't think for a second that Michelle is hurt by this or offended by this. I think that she's like, finally, the tables have turned and I'm going to get my comeuppance. I'm going to, for once, not be the villain. And he's going to have to explain himself and he's going to have to go into defense mode. So they're back at their apartment and it's time for them to read letters to their younger self. But instead of that, Michelle had other things in mind. Okay. So they're sitting on the couch and she says to him that she wants to talk about the text message. And he's like, but we're supposed to be reading letters to our young. And she's like, I don't give a damn about none of that. We're going to talk about these damn text messages. We're going to talk about them right now. So once again, he lies, talks about how it came from his cousin, a picture of a plate of food that his cousin sent him, and he was responding to that. So he said that he meant to say, looks so good, I want to eat it up. That's what he meant to say, but instead he texted, you look so fine, I want to eat you up. But he's very insistent that he was talking to the plate of food. So she said that the language choice that he sent, you look so fine, I want to eat you up, that the language choice was very, very, very suspicious. And he said, well, that's how we talk in my family. Okay, we're a different type of family, and that's how we talk in my family. And I'm like, David, my little snickerdoodle, you are digging yourself into a deeper and deeper hole. It's got nothing to do with how your family talks to one another. It's got nothing to do with that. Stop. Just say, okay, you caught me. You caught me red-handed. If you're going to lie, if you're not going to go with the truth, because clearly he doesn't want to go with the truth, but if you're going to lie, just be like, okay, Michelle, you caught me. It was intended for you. I know you don't think it was, but I promise you it was intended for you because, I'm very attracted to you. You've always known that I'm attracted to you. And yeah, I meant for that to go to you. And, if you're offended, I'm sorry. Obviously, it's better to go with the truth, but he wants to lie, but I need you to pick a better lie. Not even to say that she's going to believe it, but at least he won't look so stupid saying that he was, referring to a plate of food. And also, now he's going to have to show proof that the cousin sent this picture to him. So he talks about how, well, this is just my family. This is how we talk. And so she goes, well, let me see the picture that your cousin sent you. Then he's going to play like he's looking for the picture, like he's pulling out his phone and looking at his phone. And obviously there's no picture. So she's asking him, okay, what plate, what color was the plate? What type of tablecloth was it on? What food was it? What were the food items in the plate? What kind of fork? Was there a fork? Was there a spoon? Was there a bottle of ketchup nearby? She was like asking all of these detailed questions. And he was like, I don't know. I'm not paying attention to the color of the plate. I'm not paying attention to the tablecloth. I'm just looking at the food. So he gets extremely defensive. So then she asked him, well, are you talking to other females? Because at this point, she's thinking that he sent this to some random female or some female that he knows. So she's asking him, are you talking to other females? He says, yes, I'm talking to Judy. I'm talking to April. I'm talking to Samantha. I'm talking to some girl that I met at the deli last week. I'm texting, an old whatever. And I'm just like, what? Why are you saying this, David? Why are you saying this? Okay, so he gives this a list of these plethora of women that he's texting. And Michelle says, I don't think it's right what you're doing because no matter what we're going through, we're still married. And he goes, well, you never made it very clear to me on what the do's and don'ts were of this marriage and what the boundaries were. And I'm just like, David, I'm gonna need you to get up and walk away. I need you to do an Akechi and get up and walk away. Because the more you're talking, the worse you are looking. The worse you're making it. So he becomes very defensive, obviously very deceptive. The lies just keep on piling on top of one another. It was almost comical. I mean, you're watching this and all you could do is just laugh because he's looking so crazy and so stupid. So she's been awful to him. Michelle has been awful to him for sure. Her acting very elitist with him, saying that she's 10 years ahead of him. He doesn't have enough for her. How dare he live in his parents' basement and try to get himself together. Now, I, for one, I'm probably the only one on earth, but I, for one, didn't see anything wrong with Michelle having a problem, with her having a problem with him living in his parents' basement. Because I think that if you're going to go on a television show to look for a spouse, because that's the premise of the show, we're not even going to talk about if they're acting, if it's scripted, if it's fake or whatever. We're not even going to go there. The premise of the show is you want to, get on the show, have the experts match you with someone that you're going to be married to. If that's what we're working with, and I'm going to agree to this, I'm going to come on this show for them to find me a spouse. And I'm going to have to bear it all out and be transparent and be vulnerable and talk about my deepest, darkest fears and secrets and my hopes and dreams and all this other stuff and just bare my soul on television for everybody to critique. I'm expecting y'all to match me with someone that I feel like is somewhat on my level. And David has a lot of supporters, a lot of defenders who see nothing wrong with him living in his parents' basement. And I began to kind of like agree with that. I was like, okay, he's getting himself together. He's saving his money because he doesn't want to rent. He wants to own. He wants to buy his own property or his own house one day. And this is feasible, right? But then when we saw the basement, I had to fall back again. Okay, I had to fall back again. And like, this really looks like somebody who's struggling. He looks like somebody who is struggling. But anyways, back to my point. The fact that she has been so mean to him and rude to him. She talks down to him. She thinks that he's less than. She thinks that he's not good enough for her. All of that is completely valid. Okay. And I felt for David for having to put up with this, for having to put up with someone who just looks down her nose at him, which I think is just not right. If you have a problem with him living in his parents' basement, cool. I get that. I totally understand why she would have a problem with that. Cool. But you don't have to be mean and rude and condescending and talk to him like he's garbage. Okay. And talk to him like he's less than. He's less than a human. He's less than you. You don't have to go that far with it. And that's exactly what she did. And I didn't agree with that. But now the fact that we know David has been up to no good, I don't think that that's justification, even considering how she's treated him. His response to the way that she's been treating him is not to talk to other women and be flirtatious with other women. His response should be, I'm out. I'm not putting up with this. I'm not for you. You're not for me. I'm out of here. Then he can talk to other women in freedom. He can be free to talk to whoever, send flirty, sexy messages to whoever, whenever, however. But you're still in this marriage and you're still portraying as if you want this marriage to work. That's another thing. Because at least with the catchy, and I can't believe I'm going to be giving a catchy a point, but at least with the catchy, he's making it very obvious to Imam, I don't fool with you. I don't fool with you at all. I don't fool with you. But with David, he's making it seem as if he wants to make it work. And whenever the experts or anybody is berating her and going after her, especially Dr. Pia, whenever they're telling her that, you are wrong for the way you feel, you're wrong for judging him, David is just sitting back like, I'm the good little student. I'm being good today because, no one's getting on my case. She's getting all the heat. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And this whole entire time, David, you've been texting another woman. So now you're giving this woman who is very ugly to you, now you're giving her ammunition to come after you and to flip the table and to make her look like the victim. And all that she's done is going to be minimized compared to this, because the one thing that we're not going to put up with, we're not going to put up with a cheater. We're not going to tolerate a cheater. There's never any excuse or justification for cheating on your spouse. If you and your spouse are having issues and you feel like they can't be resolved and you'd be happier somewhere else, then you need to exit stage left. You don't stay and, you know, commit adultery or whatever the hell you're doing. You just don't do that, because no one is going to be sympathetic. A lot of people might be like, oh, he can do whatever he wants because she's been so mean to him. I don't think that him cheating is justifiable. I don't think he's justified in cheating, you know, with how she's been treating him. I don't think that it's just, no, you just don't do that. So she's within the marriage and she's treating him bad within the marriage, right? And he's doing the best he can, or making it seem like he's doing the best he can. But as soon as he decides to step out of his marriage, I feel like whatever she's been doing to him, it doesn't go out the window, because you don't treat other people like that. But it's definitely minimized compared to him reaching out to another female. And of course, you know, I feel like that other female is Madison. Not only are you, you know, I could be wrong. You know, this might all be like, there might be like a huge plot twist at the end of it all that it's not even Madison, and Madison's completely innocent of this, but I feel like it's Madison. So not only are you stepping out on your marriage, or horrible, horrible marriage, but you're stepping out with someone who she's friendly with, because I'm not going to call these people friends because they just met on this show. I don't think they're true friends like that. But you're stepping out with a woman who is friendly or on friendly terms with your wife, and who's part of your little group here, your little Married at First Sight group. And you are probably friendly with Alan. Come on, David. At least if it was a complete stranger, somebody completely outside of this circle, but you're doing it with someone within the circle. And Alan, as far as I can tell, there's no issues between you and Alan. Y'all are not BFFs, because I think David is a lot closer to Juan. Y'all are not BFFs or anything like that, but y'all are within the same group of friends, and you're going to do this with his wife. David, I can't. I can't, and I won't. So now you've given this woman, who has been, you know, public enemy number one, you've given this woman ammunition now to come after you. And and she is just, like I said, she's absolutely salivating that she's got this information on you. And at the after party with Keisha Napoleon, Keisha Napoleon was like, well, I know that you're, you know, even though y'all are not getting along, you know, I can tell that you're still hurt. And I'm like, she's not hurt, Keisha. Michelle is not hurt. Her feelings are not hurt by this. I think she's actually happy about this, because, like I said, now she's no longer in the hot seat. Now all the attention is going to be focused on David, and he's going to have to do a lot of explaining. I don't think she's hurt at all. I don't think she really cares, because once all of this is said and done, she will never talk to this man again. But she's not hurt. Now it's just a point of her trying to, you know, exact her revenge on someone who's given her so much misery. Let's move on to Imam and Ikechi. So in his video diary, Ikechi tells us that he is moving back in with M. Now he's sitting in his car, and he's talking about how, you know, he's going to have to move back in with her, but he has a lot of mixed emotions about it. And he doesn't feel like this is a great idea. He doesn't feel like this is the best move for him. He says that he's not himself around her. He's not at peace when he's around her. So he doesn't think this is going to be a good move. We see Ikechi hanging out with his friend, and he's telling his friend about all the struggles that he's having with M. He's talking about how M is constantly interrogating him. Nothing he says can ever satisfy her. And the friend says, well, maybe this is her way of trying to get to know you better. And Ikechi says, well, I'm the kind of person, like, let's get to know each other just by doing things together, spending time together, not by, you know, asking each other 1,001 questions. And then whatever I answer, you're not happy with it. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hated it with every fiber in my being when he says, she's never happy with my answers. And the reason why I hate it so much is because he doesn't give answers. He knows exactly what he's doing. She'll ask a very pointed question and he will just give some stupid asinine answer, and he knows that it's being asinine. He knows he's being a complete ass when he gives these answers to her. He knows it. And then when she is like, well, that doesn't really tell me much, then he gets extremely defensive and he shuts it down. And it's all because he's not here for the right purposes. He's here for his own selfish reasons. He's not here for marriage. He's not here to get a wife, he's not here for any of that. He's just here for attention. So to go through the process and to do the work, that's not interesting to him. That bores him to death. He's only here to, that's why that's why he's even here. He even came back to make it look like he wants to, work something out with M, because he realized, well, if I leave the show because I don't like her and I don't want to be with her, then I'm no longer on a show and I need to be on TV. My face needs to be seen. So he comes back, he wheedles his way back, but doesn't want to live with her, doesn't want to move in with her because he's got better things to do than to live with M. So he's just going to do the bare minimum, just to stay on the show and pretend like he's gonna give it an effort when he has no intentions of really doing any of the work. So, when he's talking to his friend and talking about how horrible M is to him, I see that he completely leaves out the fact that he called her an a-hole, that he completely leaves out how he accused his wife of being sexually aggressive and all those things he leaves out. He's just talking about how, she's a horrible wife. I'm unhappy with her. She's not treating me right, etc., etc. He comes over to the apartment, not to move in, but he forgot a couple of things. He's coming over to get them. And while he's there, they have a conversation. Him and M have a conversation. He tells M that he's not ready to move back in with her. And she's like, I agree with you. We're not ready for that step yet. So then he tells her that they need to get to know each other better. M says that they need to do better with the communication. Ikechi said, well, that's exactly what I've been trying to do with you. I've been trying to improve our communication. So then she says, well, how are you improving our communication when last week I was texting you and you were not responding? And he says, I don't want to talk about that. And she's like, oh, we have to talk about that because it made me feel some kind of way. We have to address that. We can't leave it unresolved. And he's like, I already told you, I won't talk about that. And I don't know why you want to live in the past. I'm trying to move forward and you just want to live in the past. I don't want to talk about that. So he's very dismissive. And he says to her, well, I'm sorry if you feel like, I'm dismissing you. And she says, it's not if you're dismissing me. I'm telling you, I feel like you are dismissing me. That's how I feel. So she says that if we're going to communicate at all, you're going to have to reach out to me because I'm done reaching out to you. And he's like, bet. He gets his stuff and he leaves. And M says that she's okay with them dating. Now, M knows that this man is not here for the right reasons because when they were in the Sprinter van going to the dinner, the anniversary dinner with the other couples, when she was in the van with them, she even told them that, this is not his first time trying to get on the show. He's been chasing the show around, trying to get on. So she knows that he's not here for the right reasons. So I'm not understanding why she just doesn't leave. Because if she's not there, he can't be there. He can't film anymore. Okay. So I don't understand why she just doesn't walk away. So I don't know if she's like, I'm just going to fulfill my contract and stay until the end, or if she's also here for clout. I'm not understanding why she just doesn't go home. You are an accomplished businesswoman. You must have better things to do than to fool with this man. It's not going to work out. You cannot go back to dating when you are on a show called Married at First Sight. When this show is centered around marriage and making a marriage work, you cannot go back to not living together and just dating and just texting each other now and then. It can't happen like that. But whatever. We're going to see a lot more of Ikechi because, like I said, he wants to be seen. He wants attention. He wants to be on a television show. I don't think he really cares if he comes off looking squeaky clean or comes out looking like the worst husband ever. I don't think he cares. As long as his face is on our television screen, that's all he wants. Moving on to Madison and Allen. So they go to a baseball field because they each have to go to a place where it meant a lot to them. So for her, because she grew up playing sports, she was on the softball team. She takes Allen to a baseball field. So they're throwing the ball back and forth and they're talking. She's talking about her difficult childhood. She's talking about the very difficult relationship that she has with her mother. And Allen is listening and he's being very attentive and he's saying all the right things to her. And Madison says that she doubts she doesn't know if she wants to have children because of how complicated and I guess toxic her relationship with her mother is. So she thinks this might affect her mothering. So she's very doubtful about having kids. And Alan reassures her that not only does she grow up to be like this amazing person despite her childhood, but that she would also make a really good mother. So he's saying all the right things, very encouraging, giving her very good advice, trying to make her feel better about herself. And it sounded very sincere. After that, on another day, he takes her to the lake to go fishing because fishing was important to him. It was how he kind of like bonded with his father. So he talks about his childhood, the custody battle that went on for 14 years between him and his parents. Between his parents, not him and his parents, but between his parents. He talks about the complicated relationship that he had with his dad. And he also shares that he was cheated on. He was cheated on by his very first love. So they were teenagers, they were young. It was just puppy love. It was nothing that serious, but it did hurt. You know, he was dating this girl when he was in high school and she ended up cheating on him with a whole bunch of guys. So yes, that's definitely going to probably come up later. So he shares a very personal story about his stepsister, how they hadn't talked in so long, like almost 20 years they hadn't talked. And then right before the wedding, his sister reached out to him and they started talking again. And it was a really beautiful moment. And so Madison appeared to be very comforting and understanding. And at the end, they hug it out. They give each other a hug. So it seems like, and I think she even said to him when they were fishing, that she feels like she's getting a lot closer to him. Okay. So she'll do these things to kind of give him hope. And then something will happen and she'll be closed off again. And he'll be like, I don't understand, like, why aren't you attracted to me? Why aren't we progressing? And, doesn't really have an answer for that. But then she'll do these things where she kind of like gives him hope that, hey, we're getting closer. We're bonding. Things are looking up for us. After that, they read letters to their younger self. And this part, I'm sorry to say, I know it's supposed to be very important and we're supposed to learn a lot about these people when they write these letters to their younger self, but it bores me to tears. But the one thing that I took from this was when he was reading the letter to his younger self. And in the letter, he tells himself, or the younger version of him, he says, don't be worried about how you express your masculinity because the way you express your masculinity is going to be very unique to you. How you dress and how you carry yourself, it might not be what other people might see as masculine, but this is how you express your masculine, something to that effect. Like, he might not be that typical macho guy, but he's very much a man, very much masculine. And so I thought it was really interesting how Madison harped in on that part of his letter. So she was like, how did you struggle with masculinity? And I don't think he necessarily struggled with it. I think maybe other people struggled with it, like maybe she's struggling with it. But he was like, no, I didn't really struggle with it. It was just, I knew that I was different. I expressed myself differently, and I'm a lot more sensitive, because him growing up, looking out for his sisters and his mom and stuff, he's a lot more sensitive, I guess. He's a lot more caring and sensitive to other people. And so you can tell that because she harped in on that this is something that she struggles with him, because he's not this big macho super duper buff guy who looks like he's popping steroids like they're Tic Tacs. You can tell that she is struggling with how he expresses his masculinity. And I think any sane woman will tell you muscles and being a gym rat is not how a man shows how masculine he is. A man definitely shows his masculinity by being a protector, a provider, someone who's caring, someone who is attentive, a good listener. But that all of that goes above Madison's head. She just wants a muscle head. Moving on to Carla and Juan. So Carla and Juan, they write letters to their younger self. And of course, overachiever Juan can't write just, a letter to his, 16-year-old self or 10-year-old self. He has to write letters to his 6-month, 6-year, and 16-year-old self. So he talks about how at 6 months old, his parents had to leave him with a family member because the babysitter or the nanny was going to kidnap him or something. I really wasn't clear on that. I probably misunderstood that, but that's what it sounded like to me. And then after that, he's reunited with his parents again. But then when he's 6 years old, his parents have to send him away again. And this letter was basically trying to show that now he understands why his parents did what he did, and it was to sacrifice for him to give him a better. Anyways, it was very touching. It was very beautiful. He talks about how his family immigrated to the United States, how hard his parents worked, working menial jobs to support him and his siblings, how much he appreciates his parents for all the hard work that they did. And it was a very beautiful letter. Basically, it seemed like he was like forgiving his parents. Maybe when he was younger, he felt like his parents were abandoning him or not giving him enough of their time. But in actuality, everything that they did was for the betterment of his life. And so now he realizes it. So that was really beautiful. I think that's what I took. I could be wrong, but that's what I took from it. I bring this up to say that it was interesting to see Juan break down and become emotional, because he's always very put together. He's always the life of the party, joking around, happy-go-lucky. And then when we see him break down and get emotional, it was, very touching to see. The next day, Carla tells Juan that she's ready for him to meet her parents, because remember, previously she had said that she does not introduce people to her parents unless she's very sure about them, something like that. She had to be really sure about them before she introduces her parents to them. She's at that point now where she feels like her and Juan are progressing, I guess. I don't really see it, but whatever. So she tells him, I think I want you to meet my parents. He's really happy about that. But the caveat is her parents do not want to be on television. So this meeting is going to take place off camera. After everything is said and done, they come out from the meeting or from the dinner, and it went well. The parents loved him. He loved the parents. Everything went well. And Carla says that she feels a lot closer to Juan now that he's met her parents. At the after party, Juan talks about the lack of intimacy between him and Carla. Not just like sexual intimacy, but like any kind of intimacy at all. And he kind of explains it like the reason why they're not affectionate with one another. He explains it as it doesn't even come across his mind to be affectionate with Carla. And he says that I have to try harder, to do those little signs of affection, because Carla wants that. She needs that. She likes the affection. She likes to be touchy-feely. She likes the words of affirmation and all of that. And he's just not giving that to her. And I feel like that if you have to struggle to show affection, it's dead. It's over. It's over. It's over. I don't think that they can come from that. I really don't. Because if that attraction is there between them, and if that chemistry is there between them, it shouldn't be a struggle, or it shouldn't be something that you have to set your alarm to. Okay, I have to give Carla a hug now. I have to hold her hand. I have to rub her shoulder. You don't have to do that if you are truly attracted to someone and their attraction just isn't there. And he's mentioned that. We're not faulting him for that. I'm just making an observation that, hey, if it's this much of a struggle for you to be affectionate with her, then this relationship is dead in the water. I don't think they can come back from this. And at the after party, he does admit that the spark between them is missing. And I wonder if he was affectionate with past partners, with past girlfriends. Was he ever affectionate with anybody else? Because maybe he's just not that guy. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just not in him. I don't know. Because if he was affectionate with past partners, then obviously he's not affectionate with Carla, because he doesn't feel nothing for Carla, which he has said himself. he doesn't feel that attraction towards her. And I just think that I feel like with them, they may say yes on decision day. I highly doubt it. They may say yes on decision day, but it's not going to last if they do. Camille and Thomas. They go see Camille's father, her grandmother, and I think her brother. So we get to meet her dad's side of the family, and she looks just like her dad and talks just like her dad. And they talk about, how sports is very important to her. And her dad talks about how he pushed her when she was in sports, and he always pushed her to better herself, etc. So that was nice. And then they look at some newspaper clippings that her grandmother, I think, or her dad had collected throughout her years in school of all of her achievements and accomplishments as a basketball player, as an athlete. After that, Thomas takes Camille to meet his biological mother, and we get to meet his bio mom. And the mom talks about, she gives a story on how and why she gave up Thomas and his twin brother for adoption. She was young. I think she was a single parent. She already had a child, Thomas's older sister, and she just couldn't take on 3 kids by herself. So she had to give them up for adoption. She knew somebody who was willing, who worked for an adoption agency and was willing to help her. And it was very difficult for her to give up her children, obviously. And it got really emotional for everybody. And Thomas said that he does not fault his mother for the decision that she made because it was done out of love. She did it because she knew that she couldn't give her children what they deserved and that she did this completely out of love. He totally understands that. So he doesn't harbor any negative feelings, resentful feelings towards his mother. He understands why she did what she did. And, they've moved past that and they have a very loving relationship. And by the way, they reunited 7 years prior. So that was really beautiful and touching. Camille and Thomas are chugging forward with their relationship. Okay. Meeting the parents, progressing in every way. So I have enough faith right now in Camille and Thomas that if they do come across some bumps in the road or some challenges, they're going to get over them. They're going to work through them. They're going to give it their all to work through them. So whether they say yes or no on decision day, they did the work. They did all that they were supposed to do. So whatever decision they make, I'm completely satisfied with it. Of course, I want them to work it out and be together. But if they don't, I can safely say right now that they gave it their all, whatever their decision is. Yeah, and that's that. I don't think I have anything else to say. I talked for about almost 40 minutes now. Thank you so much, y'all, for joining me. I really do appreciate you spending your time with me. At the end, on your way out, don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.